All right, so I have not done a rant video in quite some time, and I have not done one on sports, I don't think, ever. But this was a topic that I felt really needed to be addressed. I believe that Sean Payton, it should be mandatory that that guy has to sit and answer as to why he did not get Alvin Kamara to 7 touchdowns yesterday, and more importantly, why Taysom Hill got one. Taysom Hill being the most selfish guy, never hands off on an option. That's a different story for a different day. But taking Alvin Kamara off the field when, at the time, he was ready to go for his 6th touchdown to tie the record that stood for 70, 80 years makes literally no sense. There's a few explanations for what I think, for at the time, that I was like, okay, maybe, they're up. He doesn't want him to get hurt. That was pretty much it. Maybe he wants to pass the ball. All maybe logical explanations, from 1 to 2 yards out. But he didn't care about Kamara getting hurt because he brought him in later in the game. They didn't pass the ball. They ended up running it anyway. And 3, Alvin Kamara wanted to come into the game. He literally was inching onto the field. They called the timeout. He had an opportunity to not fuck it up, and he still fucked it up. It makes literally no sense. I understand that you're not trying to pad the stats. Say a guy like Latavius Murray or even a Taysom Hill or someone, gets like an 80-yard rush. It's not Kamara. That makes sense. Things happen. But you have a gimme touchdown from the 1-yard line to tie an 80-year-old record, and you're going to pull him to let a backup quarterback vulture a touchdown. There's no reason that Sean Payton should not have to answer for this. To me, this is no different than, I think it was Jim Joyce. If I'm off, so be it, but this is just a rant video. I didn't do a whole lot of back research on this, actually, any at all. When he blew the perfect game in baseball, just completely missed it. He had to apologize and come out. He knew he fucked up. Everyone else knew he fucked up, but at least he owned it. I think Sean Payton should have to do the same thing here. This is a record that, realistically, if he gets 7, comes in later and gets another one, obviously we didn't know that at the time, but even just to tie it, he was keeping that from him at the time. This is a record that could stand for another 80 years. Think about if a guy gets 7, no one's gotten 6 for, since the 20s. We're in 2020 now. No one's gotten 6. If he gets 7, imagine how long it may be until someone gets 8. It's nuts. It's a Christmas Day game. It's a primetime game. The guy's got freaking Christmas colored shoes on. It's the perfect example of history. A day that, everyone was watching will remember, everyone's sitting around the TV. It was the perfect setup for a guy to make history. And Sean Payton absolutely took that away from not only every fan, but from the history books. Because he wanted a backup quarterback to vulture a 2-yard rushing touchdown. As I said, there's no excuse. He should have to answer to this, I don't know if it's Jim Joyce or whatever, had to answer to blowing the perfect game. I can't fathom why he would take this away from the guy. It makes no sense. If anything, you should have been trying to feed him the ball to get him these touchdowns. Think about, examples of, Michael Strahan. Brett Favre gave him the last sack to set the record. Think about when Kobe got 60. Now, I know it's disputed or whatever, but Gordon Hayward steps on the free throw line, just in case he misses, it can get called back and he can do it again. There are countless examples in the history of sports of people going out of their way to manufacture stats. And this guy has a legitimate opportunity to set a record, and he takes it away from him. It's garbage. Sean Payton should absolutely have to answer for it. I'm not saying it should be something that, you hold over his head forever. He's a great coach. Obviously, you're not going to do anything extreme. But there's no reason that he shouldn't have to sit and answer and give a legitimate apology. At least in my opinion. Thanks for watching.